So it's time to actually talk about one of the main villains of the comic book, and why technically why do I have to talk about one of these guys? Because there's a lot to talk about, and to be honest, there's a lot more. Technically, there's a lot more like antagonists instead of protagonists. So let's be honest, there's a lot to talk about, and I kind of just want to start this off with my main small wolf, basically, and how would he be involved in this comic, basically. So yes, he's in this, and yes, the story is canon towards the character himself. The last bit, on the other hand, is not going to be that canon, like what happens after the whole science work sort of stuff. So don't think that this is gonna be easy for me. It is generally not easy for me at all. So yes, let's get this over with. So Smart Wolf was born in England in the mid 2000s. 2005 is more likely the time, or more likely the date, basically. And he was born with um, two sisters and one, two sisters, one brother, and then you got a mother and father, and that's one side of their pack, basically. There's a lot more wolves, but it's not as big as like most wolves in like the United States or something. But these guys were essentially stuck around like the foresty areas of like the Midlands, which is where I live basically. And yes, it's not that we don't have wolves in here. Don't worry, we don't have wolves in the United Kingdom. Um, I think they're trying to reintroduce them, but who cares? But basically, what's what's with the what's with Smart Wolf then? Why is he so damn special? Well, technically, yes. Smart Wolf obviously was chosen by the Laughing Incorporate business science thing. I have not got a script for this, and the fact that I'm pretty much half dead is not pleasant. But basically, in a nutshell, Small Wolf was taken into the labs in 2010 or 2012, likely 2011, because it would just make more sense. And he was still technically, this young pup was still technically old, technically young, but growing in age a little bit and acting less like a child, more like acting as a adult, basically. But they decided to take him to their labs in the middle of nowhere between a theme park and a village. And essentially, in between, like right in between these two entities, there is a small mansion where the science stuff takes hold, basically. This small mansion was essentially a shell, and it's more abandoned if anything, but it's what's underneath the mansion that's interesting. The young pup that will become Small Wolf was immediately tested on upon arrival, basically, and it got shoved in a basically like a prison cell with a lot like basically a hyena that had just as much torment on the hyena as well as the wolf, basically. The scientists nicknamed the wolf, given the wolf the name Small Wolf, and he had the subject tag of 1507. Now, uh, the problem with this story is that it wasn't very clear when I last did this. So, what technically happened in between now well, not now, but basically what would happen in the story that's not gonna be shown in the essentially in the comic, and what happens like after whatever happens, and it would be becoming the main the main point of the comic basically. And essentially, what happened was after the year 2015 or around 2014, it would depend. I think again 2014 would make a bit more sense. Obviously, Smallwolf was born basically, and he had he had like someone else in the cell with him that was gonna help him out significantly and also support him in like constant need basically, and that was Smiling Hyena. We'll get to him in like the next video because to be honest, again, he's gonna be kind of complicated as well as the scientist given Smallwolf the nickname Illusion, because unfortunately, well, the reason why was because the patterns that they done on the wolf was described by the higher ups basically as illusion illusion artwork basically. So they nicknamed the wolf Illusion, and unfortunately, sorry, and unfortunately, this was gonna push Smallwolf to the very edge, and this is where his rage starts to like build up basically. In 2000 and in later like 2015, the roller coaster in Alton Towers, which was going to be called the Smiler, was complete and it was open officially to the public. Now, again, controversy struck on Alton Towers because again it was how they actually delivered the adverts about this ride and saying it was like the scariest thing around, and it was supposed to like make you feel happy, and the whole essentially everyone in the amusement park industry was questioning what was the idea or what was the thing behind this, and this mansion in the middle of nowhere essentially forced Alton to do this because, and here's why, sadly, they had an agreement with the owners of Alton Towers. If they need anything which was like that needs to essentially that can both help them and the owners of the park, then they could use this particular roller coaster design that they made in the 80s. Now, keep that in mind. There was the Smiler in the Nightmare of Nature story. This design was come about in the 80s, but it was updated in 2010 when they first brought it up. Now, unfortunately, because of this agreement, they had no choice but to bring it in and start building it. They chose a roller coaster company which was going to work, which was Gerstlauer. It worked. They actually did really damn well with the design, and they've given more. Essentially, they've updated it more as time goes on. And at the end of the production or the building process, Smallwolf was complete, and they decided to essentially, the people over in this Laughing Incorporated was the idea they had was to essentially promote the roller coaster by showing a image of one of their subjects. Now, now obviously this is not a very, it doesn't make sense obviously. Again, I'm half dead. I did just woke up, so please keep that in mind. It is a little bit confusing, but keep that in mind. It doesn't matter, because at this point in time, Smallwolf was gonna snap. because he was going to be the one that was going to take a photo of, and he didn't want any of that. Keep this in mind as well, as the changes that they've done to Smallwolf was extensive and very extreme. Smallwolf can finally walk on like his hind legs instead of all fours, because it would hurt his joints. He had a somewhat of a permanent smile on his face. They changed his eyes from like this normal kind of look to hypnotic, swirly eyes, and then obviously the fur color has been changed completely with patterns, and they've done quite extreme level of stuff to him, and he snapped after a picture was taken of him leaning on a wall on the floor, like now just down a little bit to promote the new roller coaster. And this is why in 2015 is where the main story would take place. Keep in mind also, there was other subjects in there that actually had enough of it as well, and they were planning to revolt the sooner the better, basically. Smallwolf agreed, and obviously his now brother-in-law Hyena agreed as well, and they took the opportunity quite quickly, and this is where the main story would technically take place. And again, this will not be shown in the main comic, because it would, why would it? Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you guys like this side of the characters, then, well, not all of them, of course, but on a few of them, then please obviously subscribe for more, and obviously like the video below. And I recommend you do, because this is going to be a proper series on the channel, and it will be interesting as time goes on. I'm going to start talking about the more interesting characters. That's going to be really like interesting. Well, not interesting, but basically they're going to be more characters that will be influenced by the main character, and characters that would influence certain events. So, like I said, please subscribe, like below, obviously a comment button down below. It's so cringy when I said that. Anyways, thank you very much. I'll see you guys next time.